Hello and welcome to Wildcard from MUNPR, coming to you not live from our studio in number 60 HSS Tower, straight to your ears. I'm your host, Caleb Lantz, and my guest today is one of the most accomplished women of UTKMUN. Reagan Murphy has staffed VolMUN since she was still in high school, saved me personally by helping CD a three-way JCC with no CD experience, and she has been our communications director since her victory in the last general elections. Reagan Murphy is a sophomore political science and journalism major, member of Alpha Gamma Delta, and I am thrilled to welcome her to Wildcard. Reagan, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. All right. First question, memories. Left, middle, or right?
I'm going to go left.
Left. All right. What's something about the place you grew up in that felt confining to you?
Like, as far as, like, talking about confining, like, where I just felt kind of, like, trapped there?
Yeah.
Or, like, yeah. Okay. So I'm actually from Knoxville, so growing up in Knoxville and then going to UT was not always my first goal or plan in life. And so kind of staying in the same area where I grew up, I feel like I know all the streets, I know all the stores, I know all the people. And so, you know, until I kind of took on an open mindset, just being from Knoxville, I was worried that I wasn't going to find anything new. But then going into college and getting to meet people from all over the world and the country, and you know, I've just really been able to expand my mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Question 2. Left, middle, or right?
Right.
Right. What's something your parents taught you to appreciate?
They really taught me to appreciate different cultures, and I think that's kind of where my love for people and traveling, and honestly MUN too, came from. Growing up, I got to travel around the country a lot. I traveled cross country every summer, and sometimes in the winter as well. So what that meant is that I got to go visit a lot of the historical sites of the States, but also a lot of the cultural sites as well. Really took in an appreciation for a lot of the nature and conservation efforts with all the national parks as well. But you know, just kind of realizing that so many people have so many different backgrounds, and that's what makes us all special. And you know, it's really important that we protect that and help other people protect that, and really being able to help give a voice for those without one. Yeah,
definitely. All right, final question of round 1. Left, middle, or right?
I have to go middle.
Middle, all right. When you were bored as a kid, where would your imagination take you?
Ooh, my imagination, I was like, so I, you know, everyone's like either like a dinosaur or a train kid or whatever. I was a princess kid, and I feel like that makes sense because stereotypically, you know, girls are into Disney and whatever.
Right. So
I was always like a Disney kid, just kind of caught myself wandering away to like castles and fantasy lands and just, you know, anywhere but, you know, in sweet old Rocky Top. But I was also a huge Harry Potter nerd, and so a little bit as I got a little bit older, definitely found myself wandering around Hogwarts in my imagination.
Wonderful. What, did you have a favorite Disney princess?
Ariel, because she was a redhead.
Of course, yeah. Of course. All right. Round 2, insights. Left, middle, or right?
I'm going to go right.
Right. What is something you think you still have to prove to new people you meet?
I feel like this goes with a lot of things, and this is a general insecurity for a lot of people, but just kind of always proving that I'm good enough. And I think that's just a general thing, especially as society really places an emphasis on, you know, women aren't typically treated or paid the same in the workforce, or even in social settings. It's really unfortunate, but recently in one of the sports clubs I'm in, I had someone made a comment about how I didn't understand where something was because I was a woman, and even just like sexist comments like that, especially in the sports world, because I do a little bit there with my journalism major. Just kind of always having to feel like I have to prove myself and that I have the qualifications. Sometimes I'm overqualified for the position, or I'm more qualified than my peers, but still feeling like I need to prove that like I'm there for a reason and not get that imposter syndrome that I think a lot of us struggle with.
Yeah, definitely. I can sympathize with that. Obviously not to the same degree, but yeah.
But I'm sure with theater too, like as a theater kid, that was something I always struggled with, like shows and Yeah. I've tonight is actually opening night for the show I'm in right now. Yeah, hence the mutton chops that the audience can't see, but I very unfortunately do have mutton chops right now. I was gonna ask about that.
Yep. I'm playing a butler. All right.
Oh.
Left, middle, or right?
Probably middle.
Middle. All right. What's something people praise you for that doesn't feel like a compliment?
People always praise me for, I think, how well-spoken and how mature I am, and I feel like I'm honestly, like, I wouldn't say I'm doing the bare minimum, but I feel like a lot of my insights on things are basic like knowledge and beliefs about just how the world should work, and just kind of like equal access to things. But yeah, a lot of times people are like, oh, you're so mature or well-spoken, and it's like also the things that caused me to get to that point are, you know, my past and my history. Like, I've always been that way since I was like 10 years old, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those where it's like, wish I could have been a kid a little bit longer, but now that I hear it, I'm like, ooh, like, you know, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Did you get told you should be a lawyer when you grow up as a kid?
A lot,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Final question of round 2, left, middle, or right?
I'm gonna go left.
Left. What's a failure you still think about?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Well, before I go into any failures, I'm definitely a believer that every failure is something that you can learn from and something you can grow from, and no matter how old you are. I think that sometimes I try to overextend myself to where I can't fully commit to whatever I like put all my time into. And so recently I was supposed to do something like a dance competition for my sorority, and I ended up having to back out at the last minute just because I didn't feel adequately prepared. And I think that's definitely taught me a lot about my own time management and how I need to make sure I pour into the things that I know will pour into me. And not saying that that wouldn't and that wasn't pouring into me and my happiness, but also recognizing that I had other priorities as well. And I think that's been a big realization for me. But yeah, just not being able to follow through with my commitment with that, it's definitely made me rethink some of my own or other extracurriculars and make sure that, you know, in high school I had a teacher tell me that I was doing so much that I couldn't be good at all of it. And I would like to say that I don't think that's true. I think that I can still be very, very good at all the things I do. But I do think it does bring an interesting point that you can only become so good at something if you're only able to put in 2-3 hours a week instead of 6+, you know what I mean? Like something like that. So really being able to look at that and figure out where I want to see myself grow the most in the next few months, hopefully. Yeah,
I can definitely sympathize with the overcommitment. And from doing these interviews, I can safely say that we are not the only 2 people in this club that deal with that.
Yes.
All right. Round 3, beliefs. Left, middle, or right?
Let's go right.
Right. Was there a bedrock truth in your life you found out wasn't true?
How controversial can I get here?
As controversial or as uncontroversial as you want.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say I grew up in a pretty conservative family, and then I got to high school and started doing my own research, and I realized that I don't exactly believe the same things that a lot of my family believes. You know that joke about Thanksgiving where it's like all your relatives are fighting over politics at the table? Me being a poli-sci major definitely doesn't help that.
Yeah.
My mom is the most, I love her so dearly, and she's grown and learned a lot as I've tried to help educate her, and I'm so grateful for her open mindset, but it is still one of those things. Sometimes there are touchy topics, and sometimes it's like, you know, who our president is right now might be a convicted felon with like 34 counts.
Yeah,
you know,
maybe.
Just hypothetically, just like as hypothetical as
maybe tried to overthrow the government once or twice,
impeached twice.
Who among us, you know?
And so, you know, just kind of looking at that and realizing, wow, the people I would have voted for in 2020, definitely not the people I voted for in 2024. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so just kind of looking at the facts, make sure you do your research, check out NPR for the New York Times and maybe Wall Street Journal, but yeah.
As somebody who was old enough to vote in 2020, I can tell you, your vote wouldn't have counted here either way.
Yeah, no, wouldn't have.
All right. Left, middle, or right?
Let's go middle.
Middle. Do you have a belief system that helps you make sense of the world?
Ooh, I'm a very firm believer in that everything happens for a reason, and it's kind of been my motto since like I was tiny. You know, life throws us curveballs and life throws us good things, and you know, as one door closes, maybe another door doesn't always immediately open, but you know, kind of just being able to pour into yourself, and everything happens for a reason, but at the same time that doesn't mean you should just stop trying. Like you have to make your own success, and I'm a very big believer of that. I realized this semester as I started investing in myself professionally, financially, mentally, like I have seen a lot of changes, positive changes in my life, and a lot of good things, especially as far as my career, a lot of amazing opportunities, but it's like, maybe I thought I was going to do law school forever. I may still do law school, but it's like, you know, the opportunities you're presented with, it's your chance, it's your choice to take them, and it's like up to you to seize those opportunities, seize the days, as Jack Kelly would say.
Of course.
But yeah.
All right. Going on to our final question here. Left, middle, or right?
Let's go middle again.
Middle again. How do you stay connected to the people you've lost?
I think a big thing is just making sure that people's memories and people's lives like never get forgotten. And so I think even by like talking about people, that's a big thing. I unfortunately, my middle school best friend, she unfortunately lost her mom to cancer whenever we were in 8th grade. And so that was I lost my grandfather a few years prior, but that was my first like adultish realization that like grief is real and grief like hits you in the deepest places. And so kind of just being able to continue to talk about people, to continue to remember their legacy, whether they're dead or alive. Like, you know, even with people you haven't seen in forever, like going back, looking at photos, making sure to keep in contact with your loved ones. You know, people will always be like, make sure you like hug your parents today, but it's so true because you never know. Hug your friends, hug your parents, like love those around you so big because you never know when it's going to be your last time loving them. And I think that's like my big takeaway from that.
Yeah, for sure. That was very, very beautifully put, very fit to end on. Well, congratulations, Reagan. You've won Wild Card. We're going to end the show the same way we do every time, with a trip in our memory time machine. Now, it's very simple. All you have to do is close your eyes. Now, the memory time machine can take you back to any moment in your life. It's not a moment you want to erase or change anything about, just somewhere you'd like to linger a little longer. What moment do you choose?
I'm going to flip this.
Oh, you're going to flip the memory time machine. Oh, okay. Nobody's done that before. All right.
Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, sure. You're welcome to. It's the bottom bit there. You can see where I wrote this for Ollie because it says, "Congrats, Ollie."
Congrats, Caleb. You won. We're going to end the show the same way we do every time, with a trip in our memory time machine. Now it's very simple. First, close your eyes.
Done.
Now the memory time machine can take you back to any moment in your life. It's not a moment you want to erase or change anything about. Just somewhere you'd like to linger a little longer. What moment do you choose?
I am going to choose, this is actually the same moment that Nathanael Barnett chose when I interviewed him. Spring break 2024, there were like a dozen or so of us from MUN who booked a Airbnb in Crawfordville, Florida, which funnily enough is also Mia Walker's hometown. We did not know her at the time. And we stayed there for like 5 days. And I just remember like from the moment we woke up until the moment we went to bed, it was just like the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. Like all of my closest friends were there. My partner at the time was there. It was a very, very happy time.
Aw, that's so fun.
Yeah, it was a great trip. All right, your turn.
Okay, I think mine, I'm trying to think. So I spent part of my life growing up in Montana, and so that always has a very special place in my heart. I haven't been in prior to this year, I hadn't been in about 4, maybe 5 years. But I went to visit some family friends that are like my grandparents over spring break. And I remember I would go on walks alone at night, and the mountains are in the background. And on one of those walks, I was just like walking, and I just like realized how like beautiful like life is, and how, you know, life has definitely had its ups and downs for me personally and for a lot of people, but you know, how amazing is it that we live in a world where like I can walk outside and like I can like see the mountains right there. And I'm a big nature person, so like I spent the entire week like skiing, hiking, like, and it was snowing all the time. Like it was gorgeous. And just like how like amazing is it that like we get to take in these sights and we get to be around the people that we love, and like it just really like made me have an appreciation to like take things slower a little bit in life, and realize that like, you know, especially as a lot of us are looking at law or some fast-paced career, like it's important to stop and smell the roses or the fresh air, or just spend those small moments with family. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I can definitely get behind that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Reagan. I had a wonderful time. That does it for this episode of Wildcard from MUNPR. Be sure to tune in next Monday for the final episode where I will be getting interviewed by the new MUNPR host, Lauren Turner, and I will see you Thursday.